we're going to talk today about something I actually posted a while back on the Yahoo group, which I presented 10 reasons why we would pass May 21, 2011 without the rapture of the believers. I was saying this back then also, and I wanted to make that clear because I've had some people posting on the Yahoo channel under some of these videos, and they're trying to link me somehow to the May 21 date, which I believe is important, but I don't believe that's the time of the rapture or Judgment Day. So I wanted to make that clear. First thing, there's a couple of earthquakes that are going on. There was one in Costa Rica, May 13th. 6.0 magnitude earthquake shook the capital city of Costa Rica on Friday afternoon from the U.S. Geological Survey. Let's see, May 10th, the Loyalty Islands had a 6.8. May 11th, Spain had a couple actually. One was 5.1. Also on the USGS side, I saw that this little caption of a message, and it said in 2011 and 2012 there will be events held throughout the central U.S. observing the 200th anniversary of the great 1811 and 1812 New Madrid earthquakes. Well, so much for 2012, but this is from the USGS site, and in my book Countdown to the Last Day, I have a whole 2 chapters on earthquakes, and on the back of this book there is the new Madrid Quake mentioned on page 513, and I thought I'd bring this up since they did. 1812 to 2011, I believe it was February 7th, 1812, I'm pretty sure. February 7th, 1812 to October 21, 2011, there are 72,941 days, which breaks down to important biblical factors: 11 times 19 times 349. So you have 11 and 19 showing up from that great earthquake back then in 1812. Okay, so what we're going to discuss today is the 10 reasons why we will pass May 21, 2011. And I'm not doing this by any means to slight people, to make people angry who are proclaiming May 21, but I'm just afraid that this information has not been looked at close enough. So, today is Saturday. I think next weekend is May 21. So we've got the 7-day countdown going on here. So anyway, my first point back then, and is now still, that God has a covenant with day and night. So salvation will continue to the last day. Now here's verse 25. I think this is Jeremiah. Jeremiah 33:25. Thus saith the Lord, if my covenant be not with day and night, and if I have not appointed the ordinances of heaven and earth. The word ordinance is statutes, and one verse that mentions ordinances relates to Abraham. And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto thy seed all these countries, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, that's the word ordinances, and my laws. So here you have this is saying in Jeremiah, if I had not appointed the statutes of heaven and earth. So that relates to salvation there. And so does also this following verse, which I'll mention. Jeremiah 33:26. Then will I cast... Oh, let me read this again, because if I just say that, it might not make sense. Thus saith the Lord, if my covenant be not with day and night, and if I have not appointed the ordinances of heaven and earth, then will I cast away the seed of Jacob and David my servant, so that I will not take any of his seed to be rulers with... It says over, but I think it's with the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. For I will cause their captivity to return, and I will have mercy on them. That goes to a key point of the captivity returning after the 8,400 days, and for 153 days God being magnified. Number 2, a rapture on May 21 is based on the King James translation of the word eutheos to the English word immediately. And a lot of people have maybe fallen onto this and saying, well, see, it says immediately there. But you got to be careful of that word, because broken down it means a good EU theos, being placed or being laid. And God is the one who will be magnified. He's the one who will allow for the good to be placed, which is salvation. The same word has been translated as shortly. So when we pass May 21, we will know that we have a short period of 153 days to the last day. And I really believe this is God's short work. This is a time where both his judgment and salvation goes forth into all the world for one last time. The teaching of a rapture on May 21, 2011 is also loosely based on the fifth trumpet of Revelation 9. The truth is, the rapture of the believers takes place at the last trump. 1 Corinthians 15:51. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall be changed in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. The word changed there is the similar word to when God recreates the heaven and the earth. So that the changing that goes on is either simultaneous or it's very close in time frame to the changing of the bodies of the believers. We shall not all sleep, but we shall be changed. Let's see, number 4. Revelation 9 speaks of not hurting the grass of the earth or green thing or tree. All these relate to the gospel and those who bring the gospel. This ties in with the gospel going into all the world as a witness, and then a witness to all the nations, and then comes the end. There is examples of people sitting on the grass of the earth during Christ's time, and the actual hearing and the feeding with the fishes and the loaves relates a lot to do with the gospel and how they all heard the gospel during that time. So the grass of the earth will not be hurt during the 5 months, the final 5 months. There will be a worldwide peace and safety message. Prior to this, as I was studying this, I was thinking, well, surely in Jeremiah and other places in the Bible, it talks about they will be saying peace, peace, when there is no peace. And this is talked about the sanctuary of God. So the houses of worship will be saying, peace and security. But in another sense, you have to think that if the churches have become more like, a world system and become like fallen Babylon, and God uses the example of Babel and Babylon, the captivity of Babylon, of Israel's captivity. In that sense, you would have to say that the world as a whole will probably be proclaiming the same type of peace and safety message. So, what's going to cause that? Well, if there is a worldwide declaration of a date of a rapture on May 21, and this has gone on, it's even getting more media now than it had in the past couple months. It's once we get closer to that date, more and more interviews are going to be done. More and more people talking about the billboards that went up all over and worldwide. And I think that's going to be one of the things that's going to be proclaimed after May 21. Number 1, there'll be a mocking, a great mocking. 2 Peter 3 declares that. In the last days there will come a mocking, saying, where is the promise of his coming? Okay, will there also be, and this is the message to the believers, that day will not overtake you as a thief. So we will know that one sign that people will be saying is, or one message that the people will be saying is peace and safety. Now this will come about because people will think that, okay, May 21 is past, the proclamation of a judgment day never took place, even though I do believe that there will be judgment on the churches during that time, the fallen houses of worship. But it's not the same as what is proclaimed by those proclaiming the May 21 date, that it's Judgment Day and there'll be 5 months of no salvation, so on and so on. It'll be this chaos on earth type of stuff. But it's pretty much a left behind type of doctrine. So, peace and safety, the verse that speaks to that is 1 Thessalonians 5:2. Now let me read these. I've read them before, but I'm going to read them again. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so comes as a thief in the night. For when they shall say, peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that that day should overtake you as a thief. Safety has been translated as certainty. The whole concept there is that people will be certain that they've escaped Judgment Day. There was no such thing as Judgment Day, in other words, and they'll start proclaiming, oh, finally, peace and safety. Maybe these people will, calm down and shut up. That's could be the message. The hostility already coming from people is wanting to silence and just shut the people up who are proclaiming that God's judgment's coming to earth. And that's not going to happen. The prophets of old proclaimed the same truth that the believers at the end proclaim. So we will not be silenced. In fact, during the final 153 days, I believe that there will be, God's message will go out in a big way, and salvation will be experienced by many, realizing that we have arrived in the final months of history. And this is 153 days is a time of catching a great fish. So God's going to be saving a great many. I mentioned safety had been translated as certainty. Let me read the verses for that. Luke 1:3. It seemed good to me also, having a perfect understanding of all things from the very first, to write unto thee in order, most excellent Theophilus, that thou might know the certainty of those things wherein thou hast been instructed. That's that same word, Greek word safety, mentioned in peace and safety. The certainty of those things. So we as believers have a certainty that God's word is true, what it's proclaiming is truth. On the other hand, those who will be proclaiming peace and safety before the sudden destruction comes, they will think that they are secure. They have a certainty within themselves that it won't happen. And that's the major key, according to 1 Thessalonians 5:2. That's why we know, that it won't overtake us as a thief, because that verse will come to pass. In another verse they'll be quoting, obviously, is no man knows the day or the hour. Once you pass May 21, and it's been widely proclaimed worldwide, the whole thing is going to be, we told you, no man can know the day or the hour. And surprisingly enough, this type of lack of watching is coming from within the houses of God. They are asleep as far as the return and power of Christ. There might be a few sprinkled here and there, but the majority of those who you present this information to, it's been my experience, and I've heard from others, it's been their experience, that they will first put up that one front, no man knows the day or the hour.